Hello everyone. So today we are going to start a new chapter of physics, that is magnetic effect of electric current. So as we already discussed the heating effect of electric current in current electricity, in which we observe that when current flows through any device, some heat is produced in it. Similarly, when current flows through any conductor, some magnetic field is generated around it, and that effect is known as magnetic effect of electric current. So it is initially illustrated in Oersted experiment. So in Oersted experiment, it observed that when a magnetic needle is placed near a current carrying wire, then it shows some deflection when current flowing through the wire, and when there is no current through the wire, the needle didn't show any deflection. And we already know that a needle can show deflection only when there is a magnetic field around it. So it is observed that when current flowing through the wire, there must be a magnetic field is around it which is deflecting the needle. So in Oersted experiment, we initially observed about the magnetic effect of electric current. So the next thing which is required to find the value of that magnetic field which is produced by a current carrying device. Because if a current carrying device producing some magnetic field, then we have to calculate its magnitude or direction when it exerting on any other object. So for that we use Biot-Savart's law, which help us to find the magnitude and direction of magnetic field produced by a current carrying device. To find the magnitude and direction of magnetic field produced by a current carrying conductor, we use Biot-Savart's law. But you have to remember that this law is applicable only for a small segment of that conductor, which is known as current element, and it is not applicable for the complete conductor, because the magnetic field produced by a current carrying wire or any other conductor is also depend on the various factors like angle, position, etc. So to state Biot-Savart's law, we took an illustration in which a long current carrying conductor carrying a steady current I, for which a small current element of length dl is assumed, and there is a point P on which we have to calculate the magnetic field due to that small current carrying element, where theta is the angle between that current element and the position vector of the given point. And always remember that the direction of dl is same as the direction of flow of current. So as per the statement of Biot-Savart's law, we have the small magnetic field due to the small current element is directly proportional to the amount of current flowing through it. Number 2, it is also directly proportional to the small length of the current element. Third, it is directly proportional to the sign of angle made between displacement vector and current element. And last, it is inversely proportional to the square of separation between the point and the current element. So by combining all these, we get a small magnetic field directly proportional to current element sin theta upon r square. By replacing that proportional sign, we introduce a constant, that is mu naught by 4 pi I dl sin theta by r square. So this is the magnitude of magnetic field due to a small current element on a point P, where dl is the length of that element, theta is the angle between displacement and the length of element, I is the steady current, R is the position vector. So by using this formula we can find the magnitude. So to obtain the total magnetic field at that point due to the conductor, we can integrate that formula with the proper limit. To find the direction of magnetic field, we can use this formula in its vector form. So there is only two vector quantity, that is dl and r, because current is a scalar quantity. So if we want to find the direction of magnetic field, then we can multiply this equation with r in numerator and denominator. We get dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I dl r sin theta by r cube in terms of magnitude. Then as we know, a b sin theta in vector can form a cross b. So that equation can be written as dB vector is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I dl cross r upon r cube. So this is the vector form of Biot-Savart's law, which shows that the direction of magnetic field due to the current element is in the direction of vector product of dl and r. And as we know, the vector product of two vectors is always perpendicular to both of them. Then we can say the magnetic field is always perpendicular to the current element, and it also perpendicular to the displacement vector. So the magnetic field is always perpendicular to both of them. And if we want to find the direction of magnetic field, in that case we can use right hand palm rule to find the direction of vector product. That shows that the direction of magnetic field dl cross r, that is dl cross r. So it is in inward direction because dl is in the direction of current, and to make theta we have to move our finger towards r and our thumb pointing downward. So by using right hand palm rule we can find the direction of magnetic field for any current element. Now let's discuss some special case related to the magnetic field produced by a current carrying conductor. So from Biot-Savart's law we have dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I dl sin theta by r square, where theta is the angle between current element and position vector. So in first case, if theta is equal to 0 degree, it means the object is lies on, above or below the current carrying element. So if an object lies on the axis of the current carrying element, in that case sin theta becomes 0 and magnetic field is also 0. So there is no magnetic field in the line of current or at any point on a current carrying conductor. In the next case, if theta is equal to 90 degree, that means the point on which we have to find the magnetic field is just perpendicular to the current element, then the sin theta become 1, which is the maximum value of sin theta, and magnetic field of current carrying conductor is mu naught by 4 pi I dl by r square. That is the maximum value of magnetic field by that element at any point. So by using different conditions we can find the value of magnetic field in different cases. So in electrostatic, to find the electric field we use Coulomb's law of electrostatic, and in magnetism to find the magnetic field we use Biot-Savart's law. So there are some similarities and differences between Biot-Savart's law of magnetism and Coulomb's law of electrostatic. So according to Coulomb's law, the force between two charges is directly proportional to product of charge and inversely proportional to square of separation. And the electric field is force per unit test charge. So the electric field due to a small charge is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught by r square, where epsilon naught represent the permittivity in free medium. Then in Biot-Savart's law, the small magnetic field due to a current element is depend on current, the length of current element, sin theta and r square. So if we compare both of the field electric and magnetic obtained from Coulomb's and Biot-Savart's law, we observe that this magnetic field is due to a small current element dl, and this electric field is also due to a point charge dq. Then this magnetic field is also follow inverse square law, and electric field is also follow inverse square law. The third similarity is that the electric field due to a number of charges can be obtained by the vector addition of all the electric field using principle of superposition. Similarly, the magnetic field due to various current carrying conductor at a point can also be obtained by using principle of superposition, in which we vectorally add the all component of magnetic field. If we talk about the differences between in these two laws, so the first thing we observe that the electric field is always in the line of force, or you can say is in the direction of displacement vector, but magnetic field is always perpendicular to the direction of current as well as the direction of displacement vector. So it is along the displacement vector, but it is perpendicular to displacement vector. The second difference we observe that magnetic field is also depend on the orientation between the displacement vector and the current, but in electric field there is no such kind of angle is used. And the third point of difference is in this law electric field is obtained due to charge which is a scalar quantity, but in Biot-Savart's law the magnetic field is obtained due to a current element which is a vector quantity. So this is the comparison between Coulomb's law of electrostatic and Biot-Savart's law of magnetic field. Now let's find the magnetic field due to a long straight current carrying conductor at any point. For that, let a long current carrying conductor carrying a steady current I, and there is a point P at a distance r on which we have to find the total magnetic field. Then to apply Biot-Savart's law, we assume a small current element dl at a distance L having position x from the point P, and the angle between this displacement vector and current element is theta. Then according to Biot-Savart's law, the small magnetic field due to this current element is mu naught by 4 pi I dl sin theta by x square, and this is equation 1. Now in this equation only current is known to us, but the element, angle and position are assumed by us. So we have to replace these three terms in the known quantities. So as we know, we have to calculate the magnetic field due to the complete current element, but its length is not given. Then to cover the complete element from point P, we can assume that angle and divide into two parts with the different limits, that is phi 2 and phi 1. So if we cover phi 1 and phi 2 angle from point P, we covered the complete length of the current carrying conductor. So we have to replace that angle in terms of these two angles to cover the element, for which we let the angle to cover that portion of the conductor is phi. So we introduce phi in place of theta. Then we have to use r, which is position vector of point P, which is already given. So to obtain this, if we let there is a triangle OP and M, so in triangle OP and M, the sine theta is equal to perpendicular upon base. That means OP by OM. But if we use this angle phi, in that case OP by OM is behave base by hypotenuse, so it provide cos phi. So the first replacement we get, that is sin theta, can be replaced by cos phi. This is equation second. Now from the same expression, OP by OM is equal to cos phi, we have R by X is equal to cos phi. So X can be replaced as R sec phi. So this is the second replacement which we want. Now from same triangle OP and M, we can write OM by OP is equal to tan phi. That means perpendicular upon base is equal to tan phi. So L by R is equal to tan phi and L is equal to R tan phi. So to find dl, we differentiate this equation with respect to phi. So dl by phi, R is a constant as it is, tan square becomes sec square phi. So dl can be written as R sec square phi d phi. This is equation fourth. And the third part of the Biot-Savart law, in which dl sin theta and x is replaced by these given values. So we get the new form of Biot-Savart. dB is equal to mu naught I by 4 pi, the value of dl, R sec square phi d phi, then the replacement of sin theta, which is cos phi, upon the value of x, that is R sec phi whole square. So sec square phi is cancel out. Here we have r square and then there is r. So one r is cancel out, and finally we get mu naught I cos phi d phi by r into 4 pi. So we get dB is equal to mu naught I cos phi d phi upon 4 pi r. So the total magnetic field due to the complete wire can be obtained by the integration, in which mu naught I 4 pi r is the constant and cos phi d phi is integrated within the limits. So to cover the complete conductor, we have to use both the angles, but one angle is in clockwise direction and another is in anti-clockwise direction. So the sign of these two angles is different when we are putting their value in the limit. So one is positive and other is negative. So now we are going to solve this integration to find the total magnetic field at point P due to the complete wire. So from the integration we get mu naught I by 4 pi r. The integration of cos is sin phi with limit minus phi 1 to phi 2. By solving the limit we get mu naught I by 4 pi r sin phi 2 minus sin minus phi 1. So as we know, sin minus theta is minus sin theta. So we get B is equal to mu naught I by 4 pi r sine phi 2 plus sine phi 1. So this is the final answer in which we get the total magnetic field due to the straight current carrying conductor at a point P, for which these two angles are covered the complete conductor in opposite orientation. Now let's discuss some special results related to the magnetic field of a straight current carrying conductor, for which we have a general formula B is equal to mu naught I 4 pi r sine phi 1 plus sine phi 2. So in the first case, if we have an infinitely long current carrying conductor and we have to calculate the magnetic field at point P, in that case both the angle are equal to 90 degree. So we have to cover 90 degree angle to reach the edge of conductor. So in that case magnetic field is equal to mu naught I by 4 pi r 1 plus 1, because sine ante is 1. So the magnetic field we get finally due to infinitely long wire mu naught I by 2 pi r, because 4 is divided by 2. So this is the magnetic field due to a infinitely long current carrying conductor. In the second case, if we have semi-infinite conductor in which point is placed near one edge and second edge is at infinite, in that case one angle is 90 and other angle is 0. So maybe phi 1 is 90, phi 2 is 0, or phi 1 is 0 and phi 2 is 90. In that case the magnetic field due to semi-infinite wire is mu naught I by 4 pi r, because one portion of sine becomes 0 and another part of sine become 1. So magnetic field due to finite wire, and this is due to semi-finite wire. And if, as we already discussed, if the point lies on the axis of the current carrying wire, then both the angle become 0 and the total magnetic field is 0, which we already discussed in the special results of Biot-Savart's law. Now let's find the magnetic field on a circular current carrying loop. So if we have a circular loop of radius r carrying a steady current I, and we want to find the magnetic field due to this loop at its center, for which we have to apply Biot-Savart's law, and for that we let a small current element dl which exerting a magnetic field at point C. Then according to Biot-Savart's law, that small magnetic field is mu naught I dl sine theta by 4 pi r square. Now as we know, dl is along the tangent and displacement vector is along the radius, so the theta is 90 degree. So we get dB is equal to mu naught I dl by 4 pi r square. So this is the magnetic field due to this small segment. So the total magnetic field can be obtained by integrating this small magnetic field within proper limits. So I is constant, r is constant. We have to integrate dl, and dl is the small length of the loop, so it can be integrated from 0 to the complete circumference, which is 2 pi r, because the minimum circumference is 0 and the maximum is 2 pi r. So the lower limit is 0 and maximum length is 2 pi r. So magnetic field is equal to mu naught I by 4 pi r square dl integrated from 0 to 2 pi r. Now from the integration we get b is equal to mu naught I by 4 pi r square, dl become L, limit 0 to 2 pi r. So by putting the limits we get mu naught I by 4 pi r square into 2 pi r minus 0. So 1 r is cancelled out, pi is cancelled out, and 4 is divided by 2. So we get B is equal to mu naught I by 2r. So this is the magnetic field at the center of current carrying loop, which depend on the current of the loop and the radius of the loop. Now let's find the magnetic field at the center due to a current carrying circular arc. So let an arc which making an angle alpha having radius r carrying current I, and we have to find its magnetic field at center C, for which let's assume a small current element dl which have the same distance r from the center. Then by applying Biot-Savart's law, which is dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I dl sin theta by r square. Now again the sin theta is equal to 90 degree because dl is tangent and distance is a radius. So we get dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I dl by r square. Now the total magnetic field due to the loop is the integration of small magnetic field within the proper limits. So to cover the complete length, we have to find the length of the arc, for which we can use the formula angle is equal to arc by radius. So alpha is equal to L by r and length is equal to alpha r. So the total magnetic field can be obtained by mu naught I by 4 pi r square integration of length from 0 to alpha r. Now by integrating this, we get mu naught I by 4 pi r square L limit alpha r and 0. So B is equal to mu naught I by 4 pi r square into alpha r. So 1 r is cancelled out and we get the magnetic field at the center of a current carrying loop is mu naught I alpha upon 4 pi r. So by putting the value of angle made by r, we can find the magnetic field due to that loop on its center. So for different loop, we can find the magnetic field at the center by using this formula. Now let's find the magnetic field due to different current carrying loop at the center by using the general formula of magnetic field. So for a complete circular loop, the value of alpha is 2 pi, then the magnetic field is mu naught I 2 pi upon 4 pi r. So pi and 2 is cancelled out, so we get magnetic field at the center of circular loop mu naught I by 2r. This formula we already obtained from the direct expression. Then for the semicircular loop, alpha is equal to pi, then B is equal to mu naught I pi by 4 pi r. So the magnetic field at the center due to a semicircular current carrying loop is mu naught I by 4r. Then for a quadrant having current I, alpha is equal to pi by 2, then magnetic field is equal to mu naught I pi by 2 upon 4 pi r. Pi is cancelled out, 4 multiplied by 2. So the magnetic field at center due to quadrant of a circular current carrying loop is mu naught I by 8r. So by finding the angle, we can find the magnetic field at the center of a current carrying loop. So I hope today's topic clear to you. In the next video, we discuss more application of Biot-Savart's law and Ampere's circular law. Till then, subscribe the channel, share the video and study hard. And for more study material, you can also visit our website newerasolution.in.